education is supposed to improve the skill. Education is not about getting first class, but not being able to do anything. Education is about teaching you how to solve problems. I know my students, some of my students, when they are coming to my class, they complain that they say this lecture doesn't give slides. And a parent met me in church and said, my child is crying that you don't give slides. I said, no, I don't give slides. I go to class with my bare hands. I teach the concepts. I put the puzzle there. We all struggle to survive. We all struggle to solve. So if we solve and we get it wrong, we correct ourselves. I want you to know how to solve a problem, but not to give you what I have in mind, then you come and give it back to me. So our mode of delivery, our mode of teaching, using case studies, emphasizing mathematics, quantitative part of it, making them think logically is the way to go. Otherwise, we'll continue to be consumers of AI, but not to be users of AI.
Thank you very much. I think those points have hit home really hard. Interesting prescriptions there. Challenging students to think, and that's what the education is meant for. I read somewhere that education is the lighting of a fire. So I think Prof has lighted some fire in us here today about how we should teach and deliver education differently. Dr. Moore, this is a two-part question because Prof has given us some prescriptions from an educational policy perspective, and you have been working with a lot of innovators on AI. So similar question to you. What kind of skills, mindsets, and AI tools should schools aim to equip graduates with? Because now the work market, the job market has changed.
As I said in my opening remark, first, universities must try to do a curriculum update or upgrade in a way that allows students to develop themselves. Sometimes you have students who wanted to do economics, a BSc in economics. Maybe SSSC or WASI did not help them, so they were able to make it to physics or somewhere else. But if we liberalize education, maybe they will be willing to go, even as BSc physics students, they may be willing to go and take 1 or 2 macroeconomics, microeconomics to start that foundational life they need. When it comes to creating AI or preparing graduates for AI in the field of AI, some things that are necessary is really the training, right? So, of course, in Ghana, because AI has now come, a lot of people who already have degrees are trying to catch up. And they are catching up by taking a lot of on-the-side courses, trying to go to Coursera, edX, online courses to upgrade or update themselves. As someone who is also in the university, I do even have a lot of my colleagues come to me and say, Doc, won't you mount a course in AI in the university for us to attend? Or won't you mount a course in AI? I have a daughter, I have a son who has just completed JHS, who has completed SHS. Won't you mount a course that we can bring them for them to get this knowledge in AI? So that is actually the way that it is becoming now, that a lot of times, now increasingly, short courses are being introduced to make people aware of AI training. Currently, I'm doing something with Google on my university campus, training about 500 students on the basics of AI and development in AI, for instance. These are the ways by which students can get the skill sets that is necessary for the transfer into the work world. Of course, other things that are also important is collaboration. When it comes to AI development, you need collaboration. For instance, I'm an AI expert, but I have no knowledge about linguistics or language development. if I want to develop a translator for a Kriapim, I have to go and look for Ekriapim speakers. I have to go and look for native Ekriapim speakers who understand the language, its dynamics. So AI is a field for collaboration. If I want to do something in agriculture, I have to go and talk to people in agriculture. So if you talk to me, sometimes you may feel I have a knowledge in many things because I do collaborate with people in economics to maybe do simulations for composite index of the Ghana Stock Exchange. So suddenly I come into a field where I'm learning about economics on the go. Or sometimes if legal aspects invite me to give talks on the legal aspects, so I've had within the past 2 months, I've been invited by the Ghana Bar Association to give a talk on AI. I've been invited by the Ghana Chartered Accountant Association to give a talk on AI. And all these things, although I'm not an accountant, I take time to collaborate and learn that what accounting is, what the area is, what it means, and what are the things that we can do with AI in those spheres as well. And of course, one other thing is also creativity and adaptive thinking. So when we want to do AI, you need to be creative. You need to be, I'll say, you need to be malleable, or you need to be able to change yourself. So continuous learning is really important. Just last week, the registrar in my university reached out to me and said, Steve, the assignment you gave on the platform, I've not been able to do it. Can you explain something to me? And I was kind of shocked about it, but it made me realize this is someone who is continuous learning, right? Someone who wants to learn continuously. And this is how this field of AI, the skills you need, because AI has come at a point where many people have degrees. Most of the degree programs in AI in our universities are almost first 1 year starting or in the second years. But what are we doing when it is already advanced? Are we going to wait? If you look at the Human Development Index, you see that since 2020, it's been stalling. And I always say that this is when AI came to full fruition of how the world is going to expect AI to be. Because the moment AI got to a certain level of standard, human development still seems to have stalled, maybe because we started thinking of AI should do everything for us, and we're beginning to relegate all our decisions to AI and stuff like that. So we need this kind of skills in all areas, and people must retool themselves.
Interesting. Thank you so much. And we have quite a number of students in the background. I think this is really instructional insights for them. The learning doesn't stop, continuous learning, collaboration. That's how we can take advantage of some of the opportunities. And it needs to be not just a matter of choice. As Prof is saying, we need to assign ourselves to it. Interesting conversations here. We have a couple more questions for our panelists, but I'm told that we're running out of time. So I want to prioritize the audience. If you have any questions, okay. Mrs. Enum and Walali, we have a couple of questions for you, but let's hear from the audience first. Yes, madam. Please, where are the mics?
It's working now. Okay. Thank you very much. Wonderful program. Thank you, UNDP. My name is Esther Amba Numabakoba. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Strategic Communications Africa Limited, Stratcom Africa. Beautiful discussion, beautiful presentations. What I'm not hearing much of is communication. Because we're talking about mindset. And what I like about this event is that it's relating human development to a subject that people think is very technological. But that without a change in mindset, without knowledge being created, Knowledge creates, changes mindset, and mindset change then facilitates certain behaviors. So we're hearing that policymakers should do so and so and so. They need to be communicated to. We're hearing that AI can help um, with education, medical care, students should choose differently and all that. A lot of the times, communication is relegated to the background. But without communication, there cannot be human development. So, what I want to contribute is, could we make communicating AI central to this whole process of the introduction of AI? Otherwise, AI becomes a school subject. It's a course that people want to take and come and say, I'm a graduate in AI. Just as people become medical officers, people become engineers, and still we are lagging behind in those fields. If AI is communicated as a human development tool, not as a technological or digital product, I think that it will help our country, Ghana. I also happen to be the president of the Institute of Public Relations. So later this year, in October, and we'll be knocking at your doors here, thank you, UNDP, we will be doing a conference on communicating AI for Africa's development. We don't want AI to remain a myth. AI should be a tool for human development. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam. We're delighted to see that this has been a conversation starter and that it would continue and lead into even wider conversations about communicating AI for human and Africa's development. Any other questions? Oh, wow, a lot. Okay. Yes, show by hands again. I think we can take 3 more. Break. Hello. Yes, we'll take 3 questions and all together, and then we'll let the panelists respond. So first, Daniel here, and then yes, gentleman at the back. Okay, all right. Daniel, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So just a quick one. With respect to all the conversations, we've also circled around the people and also to schools as examples and case studies, right? Have you also realized that most of the people leading the masses are not fully digitally literate? And how then do they transcend such engagement to the masses? In as much as they say that formal education is for a living, self-education is for a fortune. In this context, how then do we also route to the educators to lead the mass in that regard? Thank you.
Okay. So the question is, we have a lot of people leading the masses who themselves are not digitally literate. So how do we ensure that these intermediaries or leaders themselves are digitally literate? Did I capture it well? Okay. Yes. Gentleman at the back.
Okay, thank you very much. I am Clement Cheba, for a student from Ghana Communication Technology University.
Okay.
So please, my question is, they are in 2 folds. And the first one goes to the gender inequalities. So I'm a person who grew up in a rural area where most of our parents, their mindset concerning education is something else. That is, I have a friend who I finished SHS with, and she wanted to she wanted to read music in tertiary. But this is the case, her parent gave her two options. Either she read nursing or teacher training. That is, she goes to nursing training or teacher training. This is the case, her interest has been declined. And concerning her interest, it is becoming a norm in most of the rural areas where most of the youth are found themselves in a field of nursing training and teacher training instead of their real or their interested field of education they wanted to be. This is a challenge most of the students or the youth we are facing. So my question is, how will this seminar or how will this program reach out to our parents in that rural areas so that they can desist from that mental or that mindset? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. So I think the question is clear for the panelists, right? Okay. Yes. Okay. And then we'll take the responses. After you, we'll take the responses from the panelists. Unfortunately, we can't take any more questions. You can send them to us, and we'll do well to respond to you after the event. Thank you.
Okay. So my name is Raphael, and Raphael Adekomi. I'm with Trestle Academy as one of the leads there. Now, my question ties into the last point he made to an extent. So on the issue of inequality, we at the academy, we have noticed that a lot of people have found themselves in professions or in academic training that is a bit away from what they want to do. So we are exploring how we can take training, particularly in IT and training in other capacity building areas, to them, right? So we are looking at doing programs that go to teacher training institutions or nursing training institutions that say that you may be here, but you had an interest in doing something around, say, digital marketing. So we want to train you in that regard. But the issue of inequality is still a major hurdle we are trying to deal with. So my question is, how do you propose that, particularly around AI modeling, around academic training, that institutions like ours can come to help bridge that gap so that rather than confronting parents directly, we offer the students the opportunity to, as it were, fulfill what is traditionally accepted, but build capacity to be able to do far more than what your academic training gives you. Okay.
I think this is also a question directed to our educationists on the panel, but feel free, Walali and Mrs. Anum, to take it. Apologies. I think there's a lady at the back who had her hands raised. Yes, please. So we'll take that as the last one. Please keep it snappy, and if you can go directly to the question, we'll appreciate that very much.
Thank you. But my question is in three folds. One is to Prof. I heard Prof mention about his pain of young ladies not pursuing courses like science, technology, and others in school. If you look at the communities where we come from, especially the rural community, I come from Upper West region. Most of the girls do not want to continue school or drop out because of simple monthly flu. They can't handle it. And if you ask a lot of the women in here who are mothers who have had babies before, when you complain, once you give birth, it will stop. So some of them drop out of school because they want to get pregnant and then do not go through that pain again. So, Prof, my question is, what will you people do to get these girls there to go through or understand that they can still continue the education into the sciences and other courses? Because a lot of them end up becoming nurses and teachers. Thank you for that. My second question is on the presentation Yusuf did he mentioned, he gave an example of Dodua that recorded a 0% on maternal mortality, if I'm right. Now, with that 0%, I don't know whether I've worked with the UN before. I don't know whether from the past studies of human development reports from the United Nations, is it still the same for the past years as 0 mortality inside the, the Dodua, and as compared to those in the rural communities? Are they still at 0 or some have improved? Because I didn't hear that one from his slide. Now, the third one goes to the last gentleman on AI. If you come back to the rural communities, not only from my region, but you observe that lack of education, and if you implement the UN SDG goals, you see that most of them, because of language barrier, lack of education, even the farmers, I control 1,500 women farmers I use in processing my shea butter. My company does shea butter. Now, those women that we engage in farming, they have various crops that they are farming on. But because they can't read and write, there is nothing they can use the phone to implement the studies or the follow-ups that you want us to use in the agri-tech technology for experimenting diseases and improving on the crops. So my question is, in a place like my community, what can you do to help my women farmers? Because I encourage them to go into farming because I use them as the same aggregators to process my butter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for all the questions. I think we have time to take some brief responses. Prof, do you want to start?
Okay, thank you very much. So, Madam, so my students are here. When I ask you exam question 1, A, B, C, D, don't complain. So he put all the questions in 3. So question 1, A, B, and C. So let me take on the issue about not being, allowing young people to pursue what they want. And I think I can take myself as example. When I finished O-level, when I mentioned the year, most of you were not born, in 1989, as a toddler. And I got extension in a village school. My father, as a teacher, said, you have to go to training college. And he was forcing me to go to training college. For 2 weeks, we were fighting, because I know I have to go to sixth form. But my father said, you have to go to training college. And my father was right, because he didn't have money to pay fees. That's what he was thinking. If I go to training college, I will get allowance. And he knows that when you complete, you will get a job. So that was what was informing my father. But thanks be to God, I had somebody who had finished the university come to do national service and told my father that let him go to sixth form, do what he wanted to do, and it will be something better than what you are thinking about. So it comes to what my mother said, communication. But I will add effective communication. What kind of communication do we give to our people down there? These days we have radio, we have everything. What kind of information do we give to our people there? Similar to my sister, yes, they are afraid that when they grow, they are not going to give birth. And I have done some research, especially in gender, in asset, in everything, on the labor market, to let you know that their fears are true. But we need education. We need to go down there, educate them, use role modeling kind of method. You may find many young ladies who gave birth when they were in school or in secondary school or even the university, but they were able to come back and they are big people. You use them as a case study, and then you'll be able to get these parents to know that, yes, even though they can give birth, but they can still go to school after that. So it comes back to education, it comes back to the way we communicate some of these things. We are in Accra, maybe we think that everything is like Accra. But I can tell you, when you go to some of the areas, they haven't heard anything about what we are talking about. Especially, and I know Sascar Service, when you go to collect data in the rural areas, they are cut off from the rest of us. So education and communication will then tell our parents that allow the child to do what he wants if the capacity to support the child is there. But just to add, this is where policy comes in. And I don't want to put everything on we, the policymaker, because I represent NDPC. But policy is important. We've been talking about allowing young people to do what they enjoy and so on. When you come to the university, and I've been in university management, sometimes it is also so difficult to allow that to happen, because the policy is that everybody wants to do a particular thing, but the capacity of the university to absorb these numbers. The classrooms are not there. The infrastructure is not there. You are a science person. How many computers do we have in the computer lab so that we can admit as many students as we can? So there are some kind of constraint, and that is where policy must come in to be able to also meet those flexibilities one way or the other.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moore.
So maybe I jump in also briefly. So for instance, Ghana NLP, as you mentioned, which I'm the co-founder of, we develop translator. So one of the translator we've developed is Kaya AI, Kaya Khaya. And if you go on it, you have about currently about 12 languages from Ghana, Nigeria, and Kenya. And of course, by the end of the year, about 20 languages already, including Senegal and other countries in the East Africa as well. Of course, I'm saying this to address the issue of the language barrier, in the sense that when we started developing this, we felt that there was a need to reach out to every person in Ghana in their own languages. And then I say that language has a way of reaching to everybody's hearts. If someone speaks to you, for instance, for foreigners here, if you meet someone, a Ghanaian, who suddenly speaks your native language, it has a way of making you feel like, what? Do you really speak that language? And it enhances your communication, because you feel this person is culturally aware of my environment as well. And this is what languages does. So we started developing language translation to help. And in the university, what I now tell students is, write a story in ChatGPT, copy and paste into Kaya AI, into any language you want, translate it into that language, and you already have a story. You have a book. Yeah, you can create a book in a native language, and then you can already reach out to people in that language. So it means that any story, whether it's if you want to reach out to them in Greek or tomatoes, write the story, translate it in that, and you can send it even in a voice as well. So it's not just in text, even in voice, because most of our local people do not read as well, even the native languages. So there's voice communication, so you can do text to speech, which means write it, translate it, and send it out information to them in voice. On the issue of languages, on the issue of barriers or maternal mortality, whether this has been the same over many years is the truth. I think that for instance, and if we want to measure every hospital, and then we can go there and check what are the practices they've been doing there, for instance, at Dodowa, that has made the maternal mortality go to 0. And we can use this as a benchmark for all the other hospitals and ensure that this is done, and this will immediately reduce maternal mortality across board. So we can benchmark all of them and ensure we, for instance, accelerate maternal mortality indexing as well. And this is one of the things that I think we can do.
Yeah, thank you very much. And whilst we take the responses from Mrs. Enum and Walali, just to highlight that the work that Dr. Moore talked about on the language with Ghana NLP is one that also UNDP is supporting in collaboration with University of Ghana. So we can have more of these tools
available